One of the big questions is, can an architecture which has any character coexist with art which is to be exhibited in it? In other words, can you make a museum where the galleries have an architectural character and yet be subordinated to the art which they display, so that the art in them becomes the primary experience? A museum is a place in which the public comes to experience art, to experience science, to experience a particular subject. But it is also a place of the community. It is a place of activity. So we must think of a museum both as a place to experience culture and to partake in the social life of culture. Museums, particularly museums of art, have to do with light. We experience art through light, and the quality of light, daylight, artificial light, cool northern light, warmer sunny light, they're critical to the way we experience things. And this building is all about light, and about light ever changing. It's never constant. One of the questions about a museum of this size is it building-like? You come in and the galleries are right next to you. Or do you come in like almost into a village and there is the piazza and a street and another piazza? And I felt this building was like a microcosm of a city, that you come into the pavilion of entry and then you have a glimpse of the colonnade that leads you on. You don't see the galleries yet. You're not yet in the museum proper. You don't see the art yet. And there is this route to the next place, the piazza, which is the Great Hall. And from there, you enter some galleries, like different buildings, almost like with its own address. Le Corbusier said that the plan is a generator of a design, the plan of a building. But I believe it is more appropriate to say that the site is a generator of a design. When I first came to the site, I realized immediately that one had to enter at one end of the site, near the cathedral, near the market, to be part of the city. The entrance pavilion is a place of arrival. It is like a crystal, which is a beacon, totally transparent, open from all directions, to which you are drawn in as you enter the building. And in the middle of that space, like there is a column. And this column is an echo of the column in the middle of the foyer of the House of Parliament. But as I walked around the site, I also realized that there was one very special place up on top of the promontory. And that's how the design grew, out of the inspirations of the site. People talk about the constraints of a site, they should be talking about the inspiration of a site. Each site has its own secrets. The architect has to discover what these secrets are. It's a puzzle. When I began working on the design, the idea of ascent to the Great Hall did not yet exist. It was first born from the problem of connecting the street level to the Great Hall level, which was 5 meters apart. But once I realized that here was an experience of ascent, the question is, what should it be like? Should it be steps? Should it be a ramp? How gentle should it be? And we remembered the Scala Regia in the Vatican of Bernini as a space which gently rises, so that this was the model for this place of ascent which we created here. Many people have spoken about the sense of sacredness when they are in this building. Others have spoken about the association with cathedral. To me, this is more the result of the idea of making a place spiritual. One of the most difficult things about architecture is the question as to what extent can architecture evoke emotional feelings as we would associate, for example, with a musical experience. When we hear music, we can feel happy, we can feel sad, we can be elated, we feel rhythm. And to me, the dream of an architect is to come close to what music can do. There was once a little boy who came through the gallery, and I was told the story by his mother. He looked up in the Great Hall and he said, "Does God live here?" And to me, that's a musical experience. To associate a place with a kind of spirituality is a musical experience. We expect it from a cantata, we expect it from a choral work, or just from a beautiful sonata. The Great Hall is a place of celebration, but it's also a formal space. It's the great room of a national institution. And there was always a question in my mind is how do you achieve the sense of ceremony and the sense of formality without the trappings of, or the pomposity of the architecture of power. And this transparency, the fact that it is filled with light, the fact that it has no walls, the walls of it are the walls of the city, makes it at the same time monumental and humane. And it is like the tradition of being under a tree, being in a forest. There is the monumentality of the trees, but there is the soft light coming through the leaves. A great building is one in which you are constantly aware and feeling every nuance of the change in what's happening in nature. That the cycles of life in the building tell you of what is going on in nature instead of separate you from it. I conceived of this museum in two parts. There's the colonnade, which is of the city. It's part of the city. It's open. It leads you to the Great Hall. Then it turns at 90 degrees into the promenade, which is internal. It's of the building. This is the part that leads you to the different galleries. It's within the building. It's kind of a yin-yang. The colonnade is of the city and the promenade is of the building. This is the one part of the building which people have very different associations. For example, people say that it makes them think of Mediterranean places. Some people have said that it makes them think of Egyptian temples. Others talk about Babylon. And I think this is because there is a kind of a memory in this space of places past. It's very subtle, it's not obvious, but it makes them think of the memory of great spaces of the past, which this is a kind of a reinterpretation of. In many ways, this museum was trying to reopen the question, what is a museum? The 19th century museum is always a mysterious place. There is the public space surrounded by galleries. Here, the opposite happens. The galleries are in the middle of the building, and they are surrounded by public spaces. We had the idea that the galleries should reflect the collection that's in them. And for the Canadian and European and American collection, we grouped them in two levels in vaulted galleries, which had light coming from above, through the skylights. And yet we wanted each group of galleries to reflect the collection that's within them. And so we played with those rooms. There's the red vaulted room, which has the Baroque collection in it. They are the lighter, almost white-colored galleries, which have the contemporary collection in them. There are the side galleries, which get light from the side, which have some of the archaeological collections. So each group of galleries reflected in its decor, in its finish, in its color, the collection. But we also had the problem that the galleries on top and the galleries at the bottom should both have daylight. The galleries on top get daylight from skylights. We wanted to bring light to the galleries under them. And it is here that we invented the idea of the light shafts, which are shafts 2 meters wide, 9 meters long, penetrating through the upper floor, lined with mirror that carry the light and distribute it into the rooms below. The contemporary galleries are really galleries for art of today, or you could even say art not yet created, art that's being made. We're quite different in their approach to the traditional galleries, because these were really minimalist rooms around a very minimalist courtyard, also with daylight, but very different kind of daylight. It's just an austere concrete frame, very plain walls, a very light maple floor, so that basically you could have installations in them, you could have much more diverse contemporary works than in the more traditional room-like galleries. One of the problems of a museum, a big museum, is to have a sense of orientation, to know where you are. And one of the elements in the design of the National Gallery is that the galleries come around in a loop, and in the heart of that loop are 2 courtyards, the garden courtyard and the water courtyard. And there are many roles for these courtyards. First of all, they are the oases of the building. It's also a place that after you've seen so many paintings and works of art, you come, you sit, you are in a garden, and the garden here is a metaphor. You come from the city, you go through the processional route, you come to the Great Hall, you start moving through the galleries, and then you discover within the galleries this place of repose and rest. There's a contrast between the 2 gardens. One is with flowers, seasonal flowers and trees, and you can sit around it. The other one has water. The water courtyard is more like a penetration through the building. It has a glass roof, and it penetrates through to the lower gallery levels where there's a water pool. And that water is on glass, so light continues to go down through the water pool into the group entrance of the building as a whole. So it goes from sky all the way to the deepest part of the building. The image of the 19th century museum is elitist. It is an ivory tower. It is full of mystery. The image of the 20th century museum for me is open, public, populist, inviting, extrovert. It is the antithesis of the 19th century. The 19th century was a place to be experienced by few, the privileged. The 20th and 21st century is a place to be experienced by everyone. And this has enormous consequence on the architecture. The architecture of everyone is different to the architecture of the few.